Welcome, everyone. Let us finish arriving and bring ourselves into harmony with 3 breaths. Go ahead and inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And one more, and this time smile while you do it. Inhale and exhale. Good morning, and thank you for being here. Jill?
Good morning. I'm delighted to welcome you all here, both here in Folgeson and online. A wave to the folks online. To the Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Jill Cowley. My pronouns are she and her. Your worship associates this morning are myself and Carol Hamlin Forey. Also participating in our service this morning is our minister, Reverend Gail Lindsay Mariner, and our music director, Lydia Madrick. And we have musical guests this morning, Jean Coughlin and Cesario Quintana from the group Con Brio. We are grateful to our tech team, John, Jim, and Jim in the back, to our live stream host, Charlie Batista, to our staff, Aaron Leventman, Mary Kreutz, and Doug Kramer, to our greeters, Leon and Ruth, parking lot monitors, kitchen workers. This morning we have Margaret and Melinda, our chancel display designer and arranger, Jill Fredrickson, and everybody else who helps make this morning happen. It's a team project. Quick note before I continue. The sign-up for inviting you in has disappeared. If you signed up on this sheet, please do so again. We look forward to seeing you there. And a quick note from Elizabeth.
I bet it's somewhere. I bet it just got tidied away because there was so much going on this weekend. But please sign up again because we want to know how much food to buy.
Yeah. Thanks,
We'll give
Gail.
you breakfast.
Now, if you will open your teal, the thinner one, songbook, and feel free to stand if you would like. We will sing hymn number 1064, my favorite and maybe yours too, Blue Boat Home.
Please rise. Thank you, friends. Our opening words are titled Spirit of Life and Renewal. O Spirit of Life and Renewal, we have wintered enough. Except maybe we haven't, because we really didn't have enough winter this winter in terms of cold and wet, but we have wintered enough in the sense of dark and weariness and these times that we are living through. We have wintered enough, we have mourned enough, we have oppressed ourselves enough. Our souls are too long cold and buried, our dreams all but forgotten, our hopes unheard. We are waiting to rise from the dead. In this, the season of steady rebirth, we awaken to the power so abundant, so holy, that returns each year through earth and sky. We will find our hearts again and our good spirits. We will love and believe and give and wonder and feel again the eternal powers. The flow of life moves ever onward through one faithful spring and another and another and now another. May we be forever grateful.
For our chalice lighting reading this morning, we have a reading by Laurie Stevens entitled For Spring Equinox. Our flaming chalice holds both light and dark. Simply by being lit, it casts shadow. The spring equinox reminds us of that balance. We need both brightness and shade, warmth and cold. Just as some seeds can only sprout after being frozen, may our hearts honor both the frost and the thaw.
So after winter's dormancy, spring brings the emergence of life. Juniper pollen, dandelions, neon green elm seeds, bugs that you see splattered on your windshield, butterflies and nesting birds. In her new book, which is the hot pink one up here, The Beginning Comes After the End, Notes on a World of Change, Rebecca Solnit revisits the now familiar story of the end of the caterpillar and the beginning of the butterfly. And there was a piece in the story when I reread it this time that I had never either heard or maybe never noticed before. In her book, the passage goes like this. The beginning comes after the end. A chrysalis is the beginning of a butterfly, but in that chrysalis is no elegant transition. The caterpillar falls apart. It turns to goo, and something profoundly different reconstitutes from it, guided by the hitherto dormant imaginal cells. In that slurry, the dissolving caterpillar's immune system perceives the imaginal cells as alien and attacks them. But they survive. They multiply and set in motion the instructions to become a butterfly. A many-legged crawler becomes a six-legged winged creature An animal that devours leaves becomes one that sips nectar from flowers. In recent years, as we have paid closer attention to the natural world and learned more about it from the scientists, this metamorphosis has become a metaphor for the transformation of our society, often with the sense that we are at the stage of dissolution, imaginal cells under attack. The butterfly is the end of a caterpillar, the beginning. The next era comes after the end of the last era. And in between comes a lot of falling apart. Did you know that piece? Had you heard that piece about the immune system of the butterfly actually attacking the butterfly's imaginal cells? I had not heard that part before, but it feels so apt in this moment that we are living in. The old trying to prevent the emergence of something new, and the new prevailing anyway. There's hope here. Struggle to be certain, but also hope. Throughout the book, Solnit writes about the things she sees emerging from this moment that we are living in. A deep understanding of interdependence as the nature of reality. An understanding that everything is part of a system, and the particularities of the relationships between the parts and the wholes and between the different elements of the system, the particularities of those relationships are crucial. There's an emerging insistence on the radical worthiness, what scholar Judith Butler calls the grievability of all human beings. That notion that because of our inherent worthiness and dignity, when we are lost or harmed, or when we die, all of us are worth grieving. And because of the recognition of our interdependence, there is a movement towards honoring the more than human beings that share the planet with us, and the systems and the ecosystems that sustain all of us. And that means that all beings possess grievability. And it is appropriate to grieve the loss of species and habitat and ecosystems. There is also an emerging acknowledgement that kindness, rather than being a weakness, is a life-affirming, life-supporting, life-sustaining value in this interdependent relational framing of a world where everyone matters, and interwoven relationships, rather than hierarchies, shape our actions. Now, if these ideas about the interdependent, relational, evolving constellation of equally worthy and cherished companions, shorthanded, this vision of a beloved community, feels familiar, it's because it is, especially in Unitarian Universalist circles. We started learning this new worldview years and years ago. It began for us, well, most recently it began for us back during the Civil Rights Movement and the feminist movement. We clarified our understanding of interdependence and respect when we started walking and standing with Side with Love, where we showed up for the rights of LGBTQ folk to be themselves, and for the right to marry, and for immigration justice. It's there, this emergent, interdependent worldview, in the 7 principles that we adopted back in the 1980s. and in the 6 values with love at the center that we articulated a couple of years ago as the current expression of the core of our faith. We've been navigating these stories and frameworks and living into them long enough that the inherent worthiness of all people and the interdependent web of every living thing feels self-evident. But it's not. There are many, many people in our world who are still distinctly uncomfortable with this worldview. There are folks who really don't like it at all, who fear it, who want to return to a familiar world grounded in radical autonomy and patriarchal and species and cultural hierarchies maintained by cruelty and control. Hence, the violent pushback that we are seeing and the emergence, because not all emergence is necessarily of something life-affirming, the emergence of the radical right and the present conflicts that we are living through. Solnit counsels us to believe the opposition when they say that we are dangerous. Over the last 60 years or so, our progressive worldview has actually dismantled much of the world that preceded of it. We actually took apart and transformed the world that they are trying to reinstate. And so Solnit says we should trust their fear as a marker of how far we have come and how capable we are. That is an amazingly empowering reframing. When someone pushes back against what you believe, it's because they are fearful of the world you are bringing into being, and you are succeeding. Now, it also places a very large amount of responsibility right on our shoulders to live up to and to support that vision. Here's just one example. Solnit did not write about this because it hadn't happened when her book went to press. It happened just this last week. This is one way that our culture, that our life-affirming and progressive worldview shows up. So did you notice how rapidly news media, organizations, cities, municipalities, and others responded to the news about Cesar Chavez's predatory sexual behavior? What we could not even see, to say nothing about believe and act on, in the days before Me Too and the Epstein files, has become so crystallized and clarified in the common consciousness that it calls for immediate action. And rather than waiting to be told what to do by higher ups, the response is emerging all over that place as people are spontaneously acting to remove the laurels that a cultural mythology heaped upon a particular man. It will take time and struggle to reconcile the good that Cesar Chavez did with his activism and the harm that he perpetrated with his misuse of power, male privilege, and sexual appetite. It reminds me of the struggles that we as a faith tradition have had with President Thomas Jefferson, right? Who at the same time that he was helping to write all men are created equal in our Declaration of Independence, owned slaves. None of us is purely good or purely evil. We need to figure out how to hold the contradictions and complexity, the time and the culture, the harm and the good in tension with one another, because both can be real simultaneously. Our world is complicated. Change is slow and incremental and often invisible for long stretches of time. There are setbacks, there are side roads. We do the best we can with the tools we have at hand, and the best that we do transforms the world and creates new contexts and new tools so that on the next cycle around the sun, we are better equipped when something similar happens again. Our struggles to create a better world actually have changed the world. It's different now. And the current dumpster fires are proof that the worldview that we cherish, the emergent world of the interdependent web of inherently worthy beings working toward a sustainable future, that worldview has taken hold in meaningful ways. Now our task is to help it thrive. We have guests this morning from the saxophone quartet Con Brio, and they're going to play two excerpts from the concert that's happening here at Chamber Music on Barcelona next Friday evening at 5:30 p.m. The program is out on Elizabeth's table. The first excerpt that they are playing this morning is called Saxophobia. It's by Rudy Weidoft, arranged by John Mills. The second piece is from a medley called Dixieland Medley. And the piece is called At the Jazz Band Ball. It's by Edwards and Shields, arranged by Kim Abeling. So here are Gene Coughlin and Cesaria Quintana for your listening delight. Thank you so much. 5:30, Friday night. Make your dinner reservations late. Show up here at 5:30. We'll be able to make it to dinner by 7. Thank you.
What wonderful music. Each Sunday, we place 4 stones in our chalice to help us remember the future we are working for. The mountain-shaped stone helps us remember that this place where we gather, called in Tewa Ogapoge, meaning white shell water place, has strong meanings and associations for descendants of ancient Puebloan peoples. The geode inspires us to imagine a world where peace is endemic and war is a thing from the distant past, understood as an acute and deplorable failure of the imagination. The ancient fossil-studded stone invites us to imagine a world thriving in the midst of climate change, a world where human participation contributes to a biosphere that is vibrant and diverse and deeply alive. The layered stone asks us to imagine that the vein of quartz that divides it actually holds it together. May it help us imagine a time when the differences between us are understood as boundaries that connect us. We honor these boundaries and our differences and use democratic processes to ensure that all of us thrive. These dreams of respect and peace, of a healthy planet and a robust democracy become realities as we and other good-hearted people around the world work together to unravel racism, mend generational patterns of violence, fight for democracy, and learn to live peacefully and regeneratively on our planet. May we find joy and meaning in these struggles.
So we set aside a time most Sunday mornings for the sharing of the sorrows and joys that are providing milestones that are providing the landmarks in our lives. Joys that are shared are multiplied. Sorrows, when we help each other carry them, are much easier to bear. So, Gail Applegate writes, thinking of friends and relatives in Nebraska as they deal with grass fires which have burned over 900,000 acres of land. John Lehman writes, my younger sister died on March 18th in Massachusetts from ongoing heart failure. Our love and wishes and prayers go out to John and his family. Terry Knickerbocker writes, Adrian and I are so thankful for the outpouring of sympathy and support from the UU Santa Fe community following the recent death of my son. We have a joy, no name, but it could be any of many of us. No Kings 3 rally and march at the Roundhouse, Saturday, March 28th. The actual program starts at 11. Come and help celebrate democracy. And then we have from Larry Metzger, a sorrow for my sister-in-law Denise, whose father died this past Friday, and a joy for living in a place surrounded by so many beautiful mountains. And Jennings Reed has a candle of joy, another great-grandchild, number 6. Woo! And we have a candle of sorrow and witness for all the girls and women across time who have been violated within the hierarchies of power, and for all of those whose gender identity or sexuality has made them targets for the stripping of dignity and selfhood. So we have a joy, or many joys, in the birthdays of members over 70 happening in the week ahead. Nancy Burgess, Diane Brown, Trudell Gifford, Dory Ramsey, Sherry Kramer, and Bill Matthews all celebrate birthdays this week. We wish you all many returns of the day. And Elizabeth Swope has a personal joy. 2 of the young women in my life celebrate birthdays in March, both Karen and Amika. They grew up in this congregation, and she wishes them both a happy birthday, as do we. One of the great joys here at UU Santa Fe, and I think it's part of being in Santa Fe, is that we have visitors every single Sunday. And we have lots of them today. So if you are visiting and I read your name, feel invited to wave so that we can recognize you, unless you don't want to, in which case we'll just look around and smile at anybody we don't know, okay? So from Seattle, we have Kendall and Jürgen and Laura. Or maybe both from Seattle and from Kentucky. That's a little confusing, but we'll talk to you about it afterwards. From Santa Fe, we have Paige and Neil. Welcome back. Also from Santa Fe and from Maine, we have John and Patty. Yay. And we have Arthur and Catherine. Yay, another Santa Fe duo. We have Peter from Walnut Creek, California. And from Baton Rouge, Jan Dardine. Yay, and John from Lafayette. Welcome to you all. We hope you will stay and let us get to know you after the service. Would you light one more candle for all the sorrows and joys we have heard, and for all the sorrows and joys that we carry in our hearts as yet unspoken? And if you would, find in the gray book number 123, which is Spirit of Life, and join me as we sing it. Resting now on the echoes of music. Resting now on the echoes of music. We move into a time of quiet and contemplation. I invite you to close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. And if it's not, just to cast your gaze downward and let your vision be soft. Take a deep breath and consciously let your body relax. Unclench your heart. Pay attention to the tension in your neck and your shoulders, and release it. Let it go. Be gentle with that stone in the pit of your stomach that seems to get heavier every time you watch the news. Let it dissolve. Just for now. Let it seep out through the soles of your feet into the earth. Let the heaviness and the darkness and the discomfort exit your body on your breath and move out through the windows into the light and moving air. And let the earth and the sun and the wind metabolize that hurt, that worry, that despair. Breathe and let your thoughts drift. Breathe and feel your heart begin to soften and open, releasing its tension and folding outwards like a flower in the sun until it is a basket spacious enough to contain all of the sorrows and joys, all of the very real worries and concerns, all of the pain, all of the beauty that are so present in our lives and in our world. And as you do this, I invite you to become aware of the other people in this room, of the people who are here for the early bird service this morning, of those who are online watching with us now, and who may watch in the days to come. And know that you are not alone. You do not have to carry any of this all by yourself. You are held, not only by the earth and the sun and the wind, but also by this community. You are cradled in a web of affection and respect that will not let you go. Breathe. And as we rest together in the quiet, I want to offer you some words from the poet Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to the one whole voice that is you. And you know that there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like the eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River. Circles in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all of this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle, rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty. In beauty. Amen, and blessed be. So, another one of the books that I'm reading right now is by Diana Butler Bass, who is a Christian author. It's called A Beautiful Year, and it is a series of essays on the lectionary readings that many of our Protestant kin anchor their liturgical year around. And so I've been reading through it. She's a wonderful liberal author with really fascinating insights into these old traditional readings. And one of the readings for Lent, I think it's for the third Sunday in Lent, and since this Sunday is Palm Sunday, that would be a couple of weeks ago, is this parable. So, Jesus told this parable. A man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came, now it could have been an apricot tree. He came looking for fruit on it and found none. And so he said to the gardener, "See here, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree, and still I find none. Cut it down. Why should it be wasting the soil?" And the gardener replied, "Sir, let it alone for 1 more year, until I dig around it and put manure on it. If it bears fruit next year, well and good. But if not, you can cut it down." So in the book, Diana Butler Bass unpacks the story as a critique of the rush and extraction of empire, And she says it counsels the listener to move more slowly according to the time of God and nature, trusting that with time and care, the harvest will come. I find the reading timely, but what actually caught me was the part about tending the soil around the fig tree in order to help it bear fruit. Tending the soil is one of the key tenets in regenerative agriculture. And like the story of the transformation from chrysalis to butterfly, regenerative agriculture is one of the formative metaphors for the emerging interdependent worldview. In her book Mattering, which is also there, it's the white one, The Secret to a Life of Deep Connection and Purpose, author Jennifer Breheny Wallace tells the story of a young farmer who turns to organic farming to try and restore the abundance of the Irish farm where he grew up. When he was a kid, it was spectacular. And then his father began to subscribe to what he understood as modern, scientific, agricultural practices. And the wildflowers and the insects and many of the birds began to disappear. And the farm was nowhere near as joyful and abundant as he remembered. And so he turned to organic agriculture and removed and gently weaned his land from fertilizers and from pesticides and toxins. And it did help stop the depletion of his very local ecosystem, but the farm was still less exuberantly alive than he remembered. And back in 2020, he went to a documentary titled Kiss the Ground. And he learned about regenerative farming. And it became his answer. Regenerative farming rejects the agricultural strategies which are based on monocropping, pesticides, and fertilizers, all of which damage habitat and soil and biodiversity. And instead, regenerative farming mimics natural processes, beginning with caring for the vast web of organisms that inhabit the soil beneath our feet, the soil microbiome. And it turns out that when you tend the microorganisms, the bacteria, the fungal mycelia, all the little one-cellular creatures that decompose and free the nutrients for the plants from the dead matter in the soil, a host of amazing things begins to happen. So, you minimize soil disruption, which means you don't plow every year. You support diversity, which means you don't pull out the weeds. You don't plant just one kind of plant. You keep the soil covered. You keep the roots alive. And you move your various kinds of animals across the landscape, letting them graze and trample and fertilize the land without stripping it, rather than penning them in one place and bringing food to them. When you do that, amazing things begin to happen. Native insects and wildflowers and birds return. Adapted plants are better at covering the soil in their native places and better at rebuilding the organic matter. And soils that have lots of organic matter are better at holding the water and minimizing flooding and recharging the water table. Here in New Mexico, where the Quivira Coalition has mentored ranchers in regenerative ranching for 25 years or more, the grass returns on those ranches. The streams start flowing again. The animals are healthier. The insect diversity rebounds. If you go to the Quivira Coalition website, or for that matter, to the Kiss the Ground website, you will see how this framing, this regenerative framing, plays out both in temperate, wet, lush Ireland and in the xeric high desert of New Mexico. So what does this have to do with what we were talking about before? With politics and culture and faith community? Well, just as regenerative farming comes out of a relational, interdependent worldview, so does our understanding of democracy. The same ideas that ground regenerative farming also support healthy communities. These are things like interdependence and equality, respect and reciprocity, stewardship and care. It's really hard on a day-to-day basis to know what we should be doing in the world right now, right? There's a threat of nuclear plants being bombed. There are grass fires and a winter that wasn't. There are many, many people who have lost their work and others who have lost their lives due to the actions of this regime. So much is happening in the world that is beyond our immediate spheres of influence and control. Many days, I think that the best thing we can do is tend the soil of our democracy right here at home. And it made me think, what would a regenerative democracy look like? What happens if we think about the tenets of regenerative agriculture and translate that metaphor? How might we bring aliveness and diversity and respect and conversation back into our communities in such a way that everyone feels valued and trust has time to heal and regrow? Money, machines, and chemical fertilizers cannot regenerate a watershed. I don't know why we would think that money, machines, and technology are the right tools to rebuild a democracy. I think that perhaps to regrow democracy, we should begin by covering the soil of our communities with stories. Our stories, each other's stories, all of the stories, and poetry and movies and songs, all of the ones that remind us that we are interwoven, that each of us is worthy and beloved. The ones we disagree with and fear, who fear us, as much as the ones whom we love and the ones we barely know. We gather stories by asking questions, and not yes-no questions, but those open-ended questions that people could answer in 1,000 different ways. What does Santa Fe mean to you? How do you feed yourself as you navigate these difficult times? We ask the questions, and then we listen, and we learn from the answers that surface right now, and we act on what we hear, but we keep learning and we keep watching because we know that deeper answers are going to emerge over time, and they are going to give us new tools for responding in the next iteration of the cycle. We regenerate the ground of democracy by showing up for each other, even when it's awkward, even when it's inconvenient. And we do it by sharing what we can actually share, not what we think we can share or what someone else has told us we should share, but what we are comfortable and able to share. Our space, our time, our money when appropriate, our attention most of all, our work, our trust, our care. We do it by consciously and intentionally expanding our circle of concern to include more and more of our neighbors, because our neighbors know things that we do not know, and together we all know more. And this one is important. We tend the soil of democracy by working together across our differences on projects that matter, so that we learn that we can be safe with one another. Mary Oliver talks about the soft animal of our body loving what it loves. Well, if the soft animal of my body is terrified by the soft animal of your body, we're not going to get anywhere if we try to talk. Our brains go offline and our armor goes up and we back away. So the very first step, I think, in moving towards gathering stories and manuring the ground of our democracy is to do stuff we can agree on. Make burritos with the Burrito Brigade. Pull weeds at Reunity and talk to the person next to you. Smile at the guy in the MAGA hat in the grocery store line if that's someone who makes you uncomfortable. Just stand there and breathe and say, look, nothing bad is happening right this minute. So we take these baby steps. And in the process of taking the baby steps, we build our own confidence, and we begin to build relationships between us. And we begin to build a web of respectful, caring connections that support our community and our Constitution. And we trust that what will emerge from the soil tended in this way will in fact be fruit that will feed us all. Now, SoulKnit says that one of the goals of activism, besides changing the world out there, is to prefigure the world you are trying to grow in your smaller community. That peaceful, inclusive, respectful, sustainable, generative, engaged, democratic world. In order to bring it into being out there, we have to prefigure it in here. And I have a page and a half left, so bear with me. We have to prefigure it in here in order to support its emergence on the larger scale. So back in 1981, Marge Piercy published a poem that I think prefigures the world we are reaching for. And if you would pick up your gray hymnal and turn it to number 568, we have Marge Piercy's Seven of Pentacles. I will read the first stanza because it's not in our hymnal. It's a number, once again, number 568. And when we get to the part that's in the book, join in. Under a sky the color of pea soup, she is looking at her work growing away there actively, thickly, like grapevines or pole beans, as things grow in the real world, slowly enough. If you tend them properly, if you mulch, if you water, if you provide birds that eat insects a home and winter food, if the sun shines and you pick off the caterpillars, if the praying mantis comes and the ladybugs and the bees, then the plants will flourish, but at their own internal clock. Join me? Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot tell always by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections. Create real nodes. Build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in. A thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always, for every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. We are living on the harvest planted and tended by those who came before us over the past more than 60 years. Our task now is to take the tools that they have given us in the fertile soil that they have created and plant and tend a future for those who will come after. May it be so. All right, John, you're up.
Okay, before I launch into the pledge drive, I'm going to transition from Gail's homily, specifically optimistic stories and why we can look forward to a better future. And I'll start with the middle of this week when, as Gail just announced, my younger sister died. And so basically, in talking to her wife and her stepdaughter, one of the stories I was reminded of was that my sister and her wife became an illegal couple 40 years ago. 12 years ago, I officiated at their legal marriage. Things change, and often for the better. And in going through the budget that we're trying to establish for next year, I am constantly reminded of how many great things the people who are here and the people in the church who are not here do every year. Which brings us to the pledge drive, of course, because we have to pay for all of that wonderful stuff. And by now you should have all received your pledge packets. And I want to update you on how the pledge drive has gone so far. We have received 17 pledges. The total pledged amount is approximately $76,000. This is 21% of our final goal. To reach the goal, we need an average of an 11% increase from all of us. So please consider your personal circumstances and pledge soon, if for no other reason so that we can plan what we're going to do next year, or more exactly, what we will have the resources to do. All pledges turned in by April 12th will be included in a drawing for a $100 gift card. And personally, if I have the good fortune to win, it will be donated to somebody else. And so again, the pledge drive is where we raise the money that supports all of our staff. So please be generous, and thank you much. And I'll let Jim now talk about something a little less demanding.
A little more immediate.
A little bit more immediate. Thank you, Sherry. When I was in Boy Scouts, I had the most amazing experience. We were out in the woods, and we walked up on a series of bushes, and every single bush had monarch butterflies on it. Everywhere. Has anybody seen that here? It is one of the events that is so outstanding, you never forget it. They're working together. There's a cluster. They have a mission. They are working towards it. You are merely an observer on the outside, but you know that something very important is going on right now, and you're able to see that. That is our church. When I was a child in a Protestant denomination, we sang the song, "May the Chain Be Unbroken." And what we're going to talk about today is keeping the chain unbroken. So we will collect the pledges and the offerings. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
We extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fires of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Go ahead and join hands with someone who is standing near you. This is our interdependent web, friends. Repeat after me. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and wisdom light our minds. May love and wisdom light our minds. May love flow through us and walk among us. May love flow through us and walk among us. As we live our lives and work to heal our world. Amen, shalom, namaste, blessed be. Assalamu alaikum, ashe, aho. Please turn and greet your neighbors and have a fabulous day. Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope that you enjoyed today's service. Please take a little time and explore our website and visit our online welcome table if you'd like to know more about us. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday morning. Stay in touch and be well.